And I guess it's a West Coast thing too, because in the States, on the East Coast, it's not like that either, apparently. So I don't know if it is from the East Coast. But, so thank you, I'm honored to be here. Is there an actual clicker that I can use for the PowerPoint? So as you can see, my topic for the keynote, what I feel like for a keynote is something that I can give to you all to kind of energize you. So, I feel like I want to energize you guys, and ladies and gals, to kind of really get into this process. Because what we're doing here, it's not just about us coming up here or people coming up here and just listening. We can do a lot more than that. Now, I agree, most conferences are about networking, and that's true. I've been to several conferences, a lot of it is networking. And I know that there's a lot of ample opportunity here for everyone here to be networking, which is great, and I'm excited about that. And I love working with all you folks because there's so many different things going on across the globe. It's outstanding. But we can do more than that. And I think this conference venue provides an opportunity for us to do more. And I'll get into it a little bit later, but that's what my kind of thought to you all is, to think about it in terms of this is not just about presenting, getting better at presenting, getting our papers in better shape. It's not just about that. We have the opportunity to do something more with all the things that we're doing across the globe. And that's what I want to emphasize. So when I look at using communication technology to build bridges, advance equity and accessibility, I'm going to do it in a way to try to energize you guys to think about how can we do this and how can we do what we're doing here to even increase it even more. So to make it a little more, less confusing, what I'll do is I'll show you a couple things about what I do, because as was stated, I'm actually a psychologist. I'm also a professor. I teach at Brandon University. I got pulled in there about 3 years ago. The dean asked me to set up an online program to teach folks how to do school counseling and school psychology online. And I said, I'm cool with that, but I've been at several universities, and every time I wanted to do something a little bit more innovative, I get hurdles. In universities, there's these like hurdles and screening and committees you got to go through to breathe. And I'm like, I'm happy to do it, but I want to be able to make sure it's done right. I'm not going to do it just so the university can save money. So when they pulled me on board, I was saying I needed some technology like synchronous class time so our students can meet synchronously in a virtual world. I need technology assistance so I can create curriculum that's going to incorporate the most innovative technology that we have nowadays and not just resort to blogs or discussion boards, which I think are great, but a class can't run on blogs and discussion boards alone. I also practice in Long Beach as a clinical psychologist in integrated medical group, and I see patients with various disabilities, from mobility, vision impaired, hearing impaired, and most of the folks I deal with I'm a psychologist, they're dealing with depression, anxiety, things associated. The comorbidity of psychological disorders with physiological ailments is pretty high. So clearly, an integrated group is helpful, but I also utilize technology in that capacity too. So I thought I'd give you a little bit of an example of how I use technology in each. It's not the only way, and I'm not claiming to be an expert in technology. I just had a conversation with someone over here, a real brief one, that said, we're tech junkies. We're not necessarily experts, but we're junkies. So I feel like I want to embrace it, and I want to learn more about it, and I will hopefully encourage you and help to inspire you to want to be able to use a little bit more technology as well. So if I click on, can I use this one to click on the video?
Yes.
Can I do that on the link?
Oh no, you have to.
So if you get on that first link there. So for the teaching program at Brandon University, what I did is I used what's called a 360 camera, and I'm teaching my kids, my students, how to do counseling online, and especially like things like group counseling. Well, when you're online, it's hard to do group counseling, right? You got like screens of people and you're counseling them on certain issues. It's kind of tough to do. So what we did is we created some videos with a 360 camera that can be shown with a headset like this. So basically this headset it's a 360 headset, and you can pause that for a second. Great. If you put on this headset, when I see this video with this headset on, I'm in that room. And I'm going to walk over here real quick so I can show them what that looks like. Because I don't have the headset on, right now all you're seeing is a regular video, but if you had the headset on, it would look like you're in the room. But I can control the video and what I'm looking at based on where my head is looking. So if I'm looking over here, I'm looking at this student or this client. If I'm looking over here, this video was designed so that you feel like you're in the chair of a psychologist or a counselor and you're looking at 3 students doing group counseling. And I'm going to, hold on, I'm going to pause this real quick. So if I look up, I can see, the room they're in. If I look around. Now here's the benefit of this. I've got this that's why this consists. I've got this headset on, and I'm looking, my students now have to wear this headset, they have to watch this video, and they're learning, remember, about group counseling. So they're sitting, looking from the eyes of the counselor. They're looking at the students. They're hearing the counselor's voice. So what happens is, when the counselor is talking to this person, the counselor is not noticing what's happening to this person over here, who's reacting in this process. But because my students have a headset on, they can see it. They can see what a counselor can't even see when they're doing counseling with this headset. This headset's not like a huge technological advance. It's just using the bulk of the power of this thing is really our cell phones, is our smartphones. So that's how we're using, this is just one example of how I'm using this technology to help with teaching students at the university how to do counseling. Not just group counseling, but we've made videos for all sorts of counseling and psychological purposes. And so that's from a teaching perspective. Now if I can go back to the slide over here, I can show you I'll show you from a Now I'll show you from a practical perspective. This is in practice dealing with someone who might be dealing with a phobia, anxiety. And this is an example of how it can work. So if I have a patient that's dealing with that, they might watch this thing with that headset. Push play.
Making sure you're awake. They want you to doze off here.
So, you guys hear that?
On which floor do you think you'll experience a moderate level of anxiety?
So he's wearing a headset, and that's what he's seeing through his headset. So he's not seeing anything else in the room, just that vision. This is afterwards. He had a fear of heights.
This would have been simply impossible 3 months ago. It would have been total avoidance. I wouldn't even have attempted this.
Yeah, see, I can't do it.
You've now completed all the tasks on this floor. Do you feel safer around heights than you did when you first arrived on the street?
This is fine. I can't believe it. It's really, really weird. It's fine. I don't even need to hold on.
So if we go back to the PowerPoint, that's an example of how I use it in practice. So I can use the headset to help desensitize people to certain phobias. I can help people to...
Take as much time as you'd like to look around.
No, don't do that right now.
You'll find something happening on every floor.
So from teaching to practice, I'm using this stuff because why not? And it seems it's helpful and it's engaging for students and it's practical and functional for patients. Okay, so that brings us over to here. Uh-oh. I thought I put it up on. There we go, thanks. So when we talk about information and communication technologies, because really that's kind of what my emphasis was for this, is to tell you guys, yes, I want to make sure that we provide support to everyone out there, regardless of disability. And we can. And I'm saying we can do it because there are facilities, there are supports out there and there's also creative minds within, like even in here, that can help utilize what's there. So, for example, from a global support perspective, you all are fairly familiar with the Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities. Within there's specific language to support information and communication technologies. So when I say information and communication technologies, I'm talking about this headset, I'm talking about this smartphone. We can get, there are policies out there that are really making sure that everyone can have access to some of the basic necessities out there that can help with communication and with support in that capacity. The World Health Organization also has support policies. So the Global Cooperation of Assistance to Technology, which I just was talking with someone about, also support for these types of technologies. Now I know that's not like full on, oh, here you go, here's some money, buy this for everyone that you know. But it's policy position papers. It's one aspect of how we can provide support. So we know that there's support from that level. And this is also within, this is global, but there's country support, there's local support that can be got from policy makers and from us advocating for policy makers to be supported in that capacity. And that's what I think something like this venue can help emphasize, that we can all go back and do that. Because we do have support from above for that. There are barriers, clearly. I don't want to make this sound like I'm Pollyanna and, oh, we can all do this. This is great, guys, come on. There is, so this, again, I'm not saying these are all the barriers, but these are some pretty standard ones. So if we don't know there's technology out there, how can we use it? How many of you guys have ever put one of these on? So I'm looking at about 6 hands go up, 7 hands go up. So 7 people have put on this headset. These have been around for a while. And right now, I mean, when they first came out, they were kind of pricey. Right now, you can get something called Google Cardboard, which is basically what this is. And you can get a design for a Google Cardboard. You cut it out of a piece of cardboard, and you can make it at home for virtually pennies. You can buy some of these ones online for like $1, $2, $3 US. They are available nowadays pretty widely, but if we don't know things are there, we don't know how to use those things, we can't think about how we would use those things. So it's lack of awareness of what's available can be a hindrance. How can different technologies be used to assist the people that we're working with? So some of you are thinking, great, nice headset, dude. I don't work with people that are dealing with depression and anxiety. You may actually be doing that anyway, you just don't know it. But so you're thinking, well, I don't know if I can use that. Well, that's a barrier as well, because whoever invented this headset, they didn't think, oh, guess what? We're going to help people that are dealing with phobias. That's not why they designed it. They designed it, and now we get to figure out how to use it. And again, it comes back to this conference. We get to figure out how to use stuff. We're working with people that need assistance. We're part of the population that needs assistance. So how can we get technology to work for us or work for the people that we're working with? And we don't want that to be a hindrance. I think that should, if anything, it should be a support for us, because we're the ones that are part of this process. So we have a lot of stake in this. And we should think about it in those terms, but we have to get you all jazzed to say, hey, it's technology. Let's not be afraid of it. Let's grab it and let's figure out how can we use this technology to help with wherever we're at. The other part of this is, okay, great. I saw this. This is nice. You're telling me it's available. That's great, Terry. And now you're telling me I can probably use it if I talk to some folks about it. Hard part about this is we also don't want you just to go in and use it and say, use it once and you're done. The policy makers, the ones that are supporting sometimes financially some of these initiatives, they're supporting it to be done preferably for long-term use. They want some longevity out of this, right? And that's what we want our policies to be, is to make sure that they're long-term. We don't want a one-time shot. So one of the limitations is we often get technology, we use it, and then it gets put aside and we're not using it anymore. And that's another thing we don't want to do. That's a barrier to actually using some of these technologies. So once we get them, if it doesn't work right now, that's okay. We can try to figure out how it can work a little bit later. I was just having another conversation with someone else over here about using this headset and how we could use it for different things. And just in that small conversation, about, 30 seconds, it came to my mind like, wait, yeah, I work with caregivers all the time. Why would I not use this with caregivers so they can get an experience of what it's like for the people they're caring for? Wow. And that was just in a matter of 30 seconds. And that's using technology continuously, ongoing. And that's what I'm doing with my program, Brandon University. I'm using this stuff. We're creating more videos. We've got some really cool technology coming out where it's not just they're watching a 360 and they're looking around, but they're actually going in and engaging with it with controls, and they're answering questions based on what's in there. So we're continuing to build on it. So if we don't build on it, that would be a limitation. Now clearly, some of these limitations are tough, because if we don't know how to use the technology, how are we going to be able to figure out how to make it work? So we're not looking at technology that's really high tech. I'm emphasizing for everyone to think about low tech. And at this point, I know this seems high tech. How many of you have a cell phone? How many of you use this smartphone? Well, everyone's like pretty much nodding, yeah, of course we do. What a stupid question, dude. So yeah, this is now low tech. Everyone uses these for the most part and has access to these, and the systems have been set up so that most people can actually get the access across the board. We still have some places that we can fund more. So if this is what we've got, and we've got this is low cost, that's what I'm encouraging you all to think is low cost, low experience necessity to use technology. It doesn't take much to learn how to use this. In fact, you're going to get a chance to do that in a second. It doesn't take much to learn how to use this, because you're going to figure out how to use that. Well, no, you already know, sorry. So you guys already know how to use a smartphone to some extent. So we're going to use your basic experience and then build on that. And you probably are all familiar with some of the apps out there that we can do that with. Obviously, the limitations of funding is huge. Even for, I say, oh yeah, you can make your own, headset for like pennies. Well, yeah, but if you make 1 million of those, that's 1 million pennies, and all of a sudden it's kind of expensive. So clearly, there is a funding issue, and I don't know if we're going to solve that today, but it doesn't mean I can't get you jazzed to try to work with technology to help with wherever you're at, and with the folks that you're dealing with. So that's my push for you all. when we do have funding, it would be nice to be able to purchase better hardware, more hardware, better software, update software, and expertise as far as people can help train us how to use it. That would be nice too. But until we're there, we're good with what we have. We're good. So when we talk about solutions to some of these problems, clearly universal service funds is one way to get money. That's where they're actually putting taxes on communication technologies. You get a small tax on your smartphone monthly bill. A lot of countries can use that funding to actually purchase hardware for folks to get more access to information and communication technologies. Some of those funds are specifically designated to help folks that have various disabilities so that they can get access to information communication technologies. So there are funding sources out there. Policy that I showed you earlier that you're familiar with from a global standpoint, we can always advocate for change in policy at the local level, at the state level, at the country level. There's other ways we can advocate for policy change as well. So policy is going to be important. And comes back right over to here, which is advocacy groups, local and international. At this point, y'all are in this international advocacy group. The fact that you're here is I'm gonna go off the path here and just take a wild guess that you're all advocates for folks that have disabilities. I'd be hard pressed to believe you weren't. So that makes you an advocacy group, and that makes this conference a venue to help advocate. And it's not just a starting point because you've been doing this for several years, but it is a venue to be able to do that. And that's what we want you to do, is to really own up to, hey, let's do this. We can advocate. It's not just about presenting, about hearing about all the great things that people are doing out here. And I've read the abstracts, it's outstanding. But it's also about, hey, where can we go from here? What else are we going to be able to do with this? And that's going to be helpful. Now, when I said about using one of the solutions we can do is use what we have used in the past, and use what we possibly could use in the future. Here's some examples. So if you look at past technologies, so you can think of hearing aids, sign language, old TTYs, as different ways that we've had technologies to help with people with different disabilities. There's been some older technologies out there that are still used, and that's fine. So current technologies that we see, we've got some current technologies that we see, including computers. We've got our smartphones, we've got tablets, we've got VR, which is this headset, which is like a VR headset or an augmented reality headsets we have. And we've got apps. So using current technology to help with some of those barriers is going to be helpful. Current technologies includes what we were just talking about, what I just showed you. So with the smartphone, I don't know if you guys are familiar with some of these apps. So if you are, again, I'm not going to tell you I'm the expert on apps, but there's a lot of really cool apps out there that help people with various issues. So this is not just a phone for communication. This is a phone that has a lot of apps that you can download on that can help with various disabilities. So it's, again, using current technology. And a lot of these things are free or very low cost. So if we could play this video, it'll show you one of these apps that's pretty helpful in dealing with, in this situation, it's dealing with visually impaired folks. So if we can click on that. Yeah. Anyone familiar with the Colombo app? No? All right, watch this. This is cool.
Patio, chairs, cup, pot, cup, coffee cup. Pepsi, cherry, Pepsi Coca-Cola, Coca-Cola. You are looking at a new ambulance.
Hey, wow! That is all right. That's on the good. It's like magic. I mean, how they do
Wow, that's so impressive. I don't even know what to say. I'm just kind of shocked.
Love to take this thing and explore and just see what I find. It would be so cool.
So that's a version of what's called augmented reality. So, thanks. So if you, when I showed you this, and I showed you the video of the group, this is virtual reality. So you're looking, it's actually called 360 technology. It's a little bit lower tech, but that's semantics or whatever. So this is virtual. This is not looking what's in front of you. This is looking into a different world. This that you just saw was looking into your world, but in an overview, like through a filter. And this filter allows us to see more than we could see if we didn't have the filter. So it doesn't really filter, it actually adds, right? Has anyone ever played Pokemon Go or heard about Pokemon Go? There's this worldwide craze. That's the same technology. It's augmented reality. It's basically putting these little creatures where kids can find them all over the world with their phone and looking at their camera. That's what this is doing. It's using that same technology, but it's using it to help people with that have some visually impaired difficulties. So that's kind of cool, because it's not something we had to invent. You know, if we're working with this population, we didn't have to invent this. We just had to find out where it is. And then we can start to incorporate it and start to use it. So let me show you another one. If we can't go to the next one. I don't know if you guys have seen this one. Gaspardap? You guys seen that? All right, go ahead and play that one. This is interesting. This is a little bit more than just your standard tech, but if you're in a wheelchair, you'd appreciate it. So basically what it is, it's a sensor hooked up to the smartphone. It operates on Bluetooth, so it's wireless. When you're sitting on this in the chair, it basically will tell you where your pressure points are. And if you're not moving enough of certain parts of your body, that's when you end up getting more sores. It can also monitor other aspects of your positioning, so to make sure that it can encourage you to move a little bit more in one way or the other, or to be more active. You guys, you've all heard Fitbit, right? Well, it's an advanced Fitbit. That's basically what it is. It's basic technology that's out there, and we can use it to help people in different situations. And why not? And that's what I'm saying. We don't have to invent a lot of this stuff. It's being invented and it's out there. It's about us getting access to it and using it. Groups. So we've got about, I think, 9 of these headsets. So we're gonna put you in small groups. Like I'm gonna walk by and just put them in a group. Is that okay? So like you guys will be group 1 here. That makes sense? Perfect. If I can get you guys to be group 2, if I could get, how about we do group 3 and group 4 over there? Is that okay? Then I've got group 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. All right. So you guys are group 9. Okay, so you guys are, yeah, you can just turn your chairs around, that's good. We have a little time. Okay, and then we'll come around and help you too. So you guys, your task is looking at your video there's something that we use for someone's VR experience to help them understand. You already said it. She came up with a great one. We're a caretaker that helps. A caregiver to help look on your smartphone, see if you can find do a search. And once you find it, let us know. We'll show you how to set it up. So you guys are going to search for a video. This is a VR video about how someone should help. Someone you like someone to see. Okay? So we should like it. Grab my phone. Yeah, so okay, so did you guys find the video? Or what video did you find? Autism? Hold on a second. So what are you going to do? When you use it, we're going to come around and help you because you're going to have to find the video and then we'll come around and help you. Just look for a VR video. You don't have to play it yet. Wait till we get to your group and then we'll help you play it. Because you're going to have to push a little button on your screen that has the little goggles on it. That'll put it into VR mode. So wait till we get there. But find your video.
You guys are doing tour guides. Okay. You guys get to work yet?
Now look all around. Look back and forth.
Yeah, my daughter plays video games sometimes.
Yeah, the sound's a little different.
It's a roller coaster. Oh, yes. Oh, good. Joking. Yeah, but she's
Try to find another one first. And then, yes, it has to be split screen. But you can't put it into split screen until it actually goes. Just use a general search and look under YouTube VR video.
This must be expensive. Can we convert any video? Yeah, what?
I think he liked the roller coaster.
Did you guys find one? Okay. Did you guys find one?
Change the video and
You can change any video you want. It's unlimited. All right, did you guys find one? Did you guys find one? Oh yeah, no, it's already split. So you don't have to convert. You're gonna put it in.
No, no.
Like that. Put it on here first.
you know more about my phone than
All right, did you guys find it? Did it work? Did you still have some on-site Is it what? My self-esteem. I don't think that's right. Okay, I'm going to find another one. Is it not working? Can you grab my phone? Where is it? I think it's on the I know you're all engaged right now. They don't want to listen to me. So, you guys, when you get a chance, this is a high-grade version of what you're looking at right now. This is called Oculus Go. And this one doesn't have a smartphone attached. It's already it's already all built in. And it's really fun. So this will be available for you guys to try too, just during breaks or whatever, and I'll be happy to show you how this works. But this one is, again, it's a high-tech version of what you're using right now. What you're using is low-tech. It's available everywhere. This one, it's not really expensive, but it's a couple $100, so it's a little more difficult to put out there all across the board. Did everyone get a chance to look at it?
Yeah.
Oh. All right, you guys, my time is up. I've already gone over my time because I wanted you to play with those. Sorry. But again, you can play with them later. I want this to inspire you all to know this conference is about you all doing something more than what we've done before. And I really believe that we can do that. Oh, they lost me. So I want to thank you all for participating and being here at the conference. I look forward to meeting everyone and helping inspire you to really do the best we can do for what the folks we work with and the populations that we're hanging out with. So thank you again. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much, Dr. Terry. So we will officially